Welcome students. This session is for BA second year English Literature paper first, that is Poetry and Drama. In this session, we'll continue with the poem The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. It's a long poem, so it's taking a lot of sessions to deal with. Before we continue with the poem, let's have a recap of the previous session. From the previous session, we know that Prufrock thinks that he should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. Crabs are scavengers, garbage eaters, who live off refuse that makes its way to the sea floor. Metaphor and symbol replace direct statement. Associations are psychological rather than grammatical. So we see that how Prufrock has associated his life with the life of insects, with the life of animals. He has somewhere, we see that how he connects his state to that of cat, to an insect, and then to a crab. So these associations are psychological rather than grammatical. The interweaving of references, apparently random transitions, and rhetorical and poetic flights interrupted by irrelevance. So this is what the poetry consists of. There are a lot of references in this poem, and then there is a random transition of images which readers have difficulty to connect with. And we see that there are rhetorical and poetic flights interrupted by irrelevance. Though we see that there are a lot of irrelevant things being said, but as the poetic style is quite fragmented, we as readers, we have that responsibility of deriving meaning out of those interrupted things. Part of the poem irony is the inconsequential nature of Prufrock's situation, his reluctance, for example, to come to a decision about anything. So in whole of the poem, we see that Prufrock is hesitant and is not coming up to any decision about something which he has not yet revealed to us as readers, which has him paralyzed with fear, afraid to disturb the universe of toast and tea, when everything around him is so comfortable and without any mess. He does not want to create any sort of a difficulty for him around himself. The dominant tone of the poem, the images Prufrock uses, and the climax of the poem project unmistakable feelings about Prufrock and the social world he inhabits. When we look at the tone of the poem and the various forms of images that Prufrock uses, and when we look at how this poem develops, we are absolutely sure about Prufrock's condition and the social world he lives in. It's a world of cakes and ices, novels and coffee spoons that is drowned by stultifying social conventions in which it is immersed, because the society around him is so much good from the outside, from the surface, that anything out of the way disturbs the whole environment around, and this makes him quite afraid of speaking out what he has in his mind. So this poem, it tells about the condition of Prufrock or any man and the modern society. Now let's continue with the text. Eliot writes, and Prufrock says, "And the afternoon, the evening sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or it malingers, stretched on the floor, here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have strength to force the moment to his crisis?" Now he gives the image of a very relaxed life. And he says that in this relaxed life, where he is asleep and tired, or he just pretends to be tired, and the images of stretching on the floor, relaxing near her, and after all this cakes and ices, that is easy life, these are symbol of easy life, have the strength to force the moment to his crisis. He says, when life, everything is so fine in life and there is hardly any complexity, so in such a life, to ask this big question, which is going to create a moment of crisis, is it advisable? So there's a question in his mind that why to disturb the peace of life by asking such a question to that women or to society. And we as readers, we don't know what that question is, but somewhere he feels that asking that question might disturb all the peace and all the calm and smooth life that he has around him. But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head grown slightly bald, brought it upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. In this stanza, we see that there are a lot of self pity images of Prufrock. And when he says that he has wept and fasted, wept and prayed, and seen his head grown slightly bald upon a platter, all these images show that he is quite sorry for himself. And when he says that I am no prophet, he is quite a common man, and here's no great matter. And in this society, a common man hardly matters to anyone. Uh, Further, he writes that I have seen a moment of my greatness flicker. So here he compares himself to a candle, that just as candle flame flickers in the same manner, his greatness is also not constant, rather, it also flickers. And I've seen eternal footmen hold my coat and snicker. Here the reference is to death. Eternal footman is death, and death is quite unfriendly because it comes to everyone. And in short, I was afraid. So this stanza is the moment of honesty by Prufrock, because here we see that he speaks openly about his weakness, about his fear, and about his what we say that he is absolutely in an unconfrontational state. So this stanza somewhere reveals quite honestly Prufrock's personality. And would it have been worth it after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talks of you and me, would it have been worthwhile? Now, again, here he talks about the comfortable life around, the peace around, the moment till others have not known what he's about to say or what he's about to ask. Everything is quite simple and there is hardly any complexity. And he is absolutely comfortable drinking coffee and having marmalades, uh, talking about you and me. Then the question comes in his mind, but he thinks that this is not the right time to talk on that matter. So he somewhere we again see that he pushes off that matter from his mind because he does not want to spoil the environment around him. He knows that people or the environment won't remain the same. Therefore, he says that it's hardly any worthwhile to talk about this matter at this moment. To have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I'm Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I should tell you all. Now, again, he says the effort that is required to tell that thing which he wishes to tell or to raise that question, he says that I just cannot afford to ask that question in this at this moment because it requires a lot of effort on his part, just like squeezing the universe into a ball. And he says that I have no intention of rolling this overwhelming question to anyone because here again Eliot refers to Bible where Lazarus got an opportunity to come back to earth from heaven and tell people about their sins. But he says that I am not Lazarus to come from the dead and come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all. So, somewhere we see that he says that he is not at all in a mood to talk about that matter anymore because he is not someone from heaven to just come and tell people about what he thinks and what is right and what is wrong. So, here again, with this reference, we see that that question, that moment of crisis, is again pushed for the future. Now, let's analyze this poem, the stanzas that we have completed up till now. For the speaker, taking action would mean to force the moment to its crisis. uh, we know that that action or that thing that he wishes to reveal and which he is somewhere postponing it, we know that if that happens now, it's going to force that moment to its crisis, which seems as impossible task after the civilized sedate activity of talking, taking tea, cake and ices. So after such a smooth life and without any complication and such a sedentary and civilized condition, it appears quite impossible that now Prufrock is going to take that risk of asking that question, or he's going to bring he's going to take that much of an effort to bring that moment of crisis. There is thus something emotionally deadening and alienating about seemingly empty social rituals that characterize the modern world. So this shows the condition of modern world, that how much of emptiness is there in society, that people are not showing their reality. They are afraid of speaking the truth from inside, which makes them more alienated emotionally. When the speaker imagines expressing his desires and feelings to others, those scenes inevitably dissolve into disheartening moments of misunderstanding. Uh, all this effort and all this risk that Prufrock, if it takes, he is quite sure about this thing, that it's going to bring the moment of misunderstanding, because whatever he wishes to convey, he won't be understood in the way that he thinks. For instance, the speaker imagines posing what he calls the overwhelming question, saying, I'm Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all. Here, he compares himself to Lazarus from the Bible, who came from the dead and told people about their sins. However, although the speaker compares himself to a biblical figure and offers a promise of total revelation to tell all, he doesn't actually manage to communicate much of anything. So, though he wishes to say everything in front of people, but just because of the judgmental nature of modern society and of misunderstanding that's going to create and is going to spoil the whole environment and people's behavior towards him, we see that he is absolutely not able to communicate anything. Even in his fantasies, he experiences the disappointment of being unable to communicate. So we know that he's just playing the things in his mind. Actually, he's not doing anything. But even in his imagination, we see that Prufrock experiences disappointment because he knows that he won't be able to communicate properly to others, and he won't be able to get himself understood by others in the way he wishes to be. So that's the end of the session. We'll continue with this poem in my next session. Thanks.